So there's an expression in Kabbalah that says to prepare the vessel to receive, you have to give. And unless you've given, you can't properly receive something. Now, I want to make a video about this because personally, one of my biggest hobbies is just to give free things to people. That's like a huge hobby that I have, is inviting up hundreds of people into my fat crib, or bringing people who have never been on a trip onto a trip, or bringing somebody who's never been to a sick restaurant to a sick restaurant. This is just something that I genuinely enjoy. In fact, maybe there's something wrong about me, but I often struggle to just enjoy things just myself, and I get a lot more enjoyment when somebody who wouldn't have had access to something like that gets access to it. It's a major reason I've done all the free events that I've done, free videos that I've done, videos where I'm traveling around the world. I want people to see it. I'm actually in Seattle right now. We'll even do a little quick tour because, you know, I love to do that. We're just right out here on the waterfront. I'm actually out here doing a completely, speaking of giving away things for free, I'm doing a completely free event. That's an event that would probably cost $5,000 if it was any other seminar company. Easily a 5K event. Giving away that for free right here in Seattle. And I'm gonna be doing another one down in Portland the week after. So if you want to come to a completely free event on how to make a ton of cash, on how to get better spiritually, and how to build yourself up socially, click the link below and come to the free event. Now, by the way, another thing for free that I like to give away, and then I'll explain the concept here, is for people who can't fly in, because I'd recommend that you fly in from anywhere around the world. Pacific Northwest this time of year, best place you could be in the entire world. But if you can't fly in, even though I'd recommend that you do, we actually have a free mini course with the very, very best lessons from the free event. Okay, so click the link below as well and get inside of Higher Purpose Program. It is a phenomenal, completely free course, and all of the core lessons, my very, very best content on how to get rich, on how to get better social results, and how to get tapped in spiritually are all inside of that course. People go crazy over that course. Click the link below, get inside that free course. If you haven't seen it yet, even if you kind of clicked into it but you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's very, very, very structured. These I kind of do off the cuff. That was a very, very structured course that I did over many, many years, about 20 years worth of iterations right there in that course. It's a very, very deep course, completely for free. Best thing about both coming to a free event and going inside the course, you get to network. At the free event, you network with people in real life. You get this energetic download being there in real life. It's unbelievable. All the people who you meet out in the hallway during the event. It's a very, very special event. The free event, again, here in Seattle, Portland, other cities coming up. But the free course that we have, again, the mini course that we have underneath, that also has access to a group that you can actually converse with other people in real life as well. So you wind up getting a free group, free course. It's just awesome. So as I'm sitting here out in Seattle, getting ready to do the free event, why is it that I do this, and why is it that I like giving away things for free, and what is the problem with it that I've seen? This is a major problem, and because I'm going to give away this stuff, I want to talk to you a little bit about the problem with it. The problem that I've seen with when I invite people up to a mansion, or when I invite people on a beautiful trip, or when I take somebody to a beautiful restaurant, is that the software in the mind is not a match for the external environment, and it winds up causing the brain to short circuit. And the reason why that happens is because in life, this is my experience, we go through this journey to build up wealth, or to build up opportunity, or to build up social connections. That's often actually rather painful. It's kind of like a painful journey. So that painful journey, what winds up happening is that in order to go through it, you wind up having to learn how to control your mind. So what happens, like, let's say that you're building a business, and you know there's this little problem over here, and it drives you crazy, and you waste your day thinking about it. And then you realize, wow, I just wasted my entire day thinking about this stupid problem. That trains you not to focus on things that are petty. So now all of a sudden, when you're out of the fancy restaurant, when you're in the fat crib, wherever you are, then what winds up happening is, you know, some little small problem happens, and you're still able to enjoy that at a very, very high level, because you've trained your mind through that process. So the process of giving and the process of going through something in order to get to where you are, it actually trains your mind on how to enjoy the fruits of your labor once you fully get them. Without that training, I don't think that you could really enjoy it fully. So what I've seen, some simple examples, and I made another video about this, so that's why I'm kind of want to expand on it, is I could be running through some super sick party. And to create that party cost me 10 or 20 grand, that would be on the low end, 10 or 20K to run that party. And in addition to that, it also was about 6-7 months of going out to meet all the different people that I'm gonna invite. So I'm inviting like the creme de la creme, super curated crowd, super sick crib, everything's awesome. You know, I've gone to hell and back and had a lot of fun doing it to create that party, right? It's a huge investment. So I might invite somebody who really doesn't belong there because I just want them to have that experience. Like, why do a party if you can't invite somebody who isn't used to being there, right? I don't want to just invite the best people. I also want to invite people who aren't used to being there. Somebody who would think it's extra special. But what winds up happening is that their mind, they're not used to controlling their mind from getting upset. So maybe someone starts like talking to their girl, and then they run up to me, they go, "Owen, someone's talking to my girl." Ah! You know, right? I'm like, how can I keep inviting you here if you're gonna get folks on things like that? We're supposed to be here to have a good time. You know, maybe you go to a nice restaurant, they start complaining about the service from the waiter, and you're like, yo, I'm paying $5,000 for this. Are we gonna ruin it by complaining about the waiter? Maybe you're going skiing in Jackson Hole, and you know, let's say it's back during COVID, and someone told you to put your mask on, which I don't agree with at all, by the way. And then what happens is like, they told me to put on my mask. You know, the whole way up the gondola, you know, you paid $8,000 a day to be there with you and your friends. And it's like, my mask, I'm not wearing my mask. You know, again, if you want to say that to them to make your point, fine, but don't say it to me. And these are all the kind of experiences that I've had over time by bringing people who are not used to being around that environment into those environments. So what is the lesson? The lesson is most people believe that if you could just get free stuff that you'd enjoy it, when in reality, you don't even have the capacity to enjoy something like that. Let's give another example. Let's say that you had a very, very attractive significant other. You started dating them, somebody who's just some bombshell. And then let's say that someone starts hitting on your girl or guy or whatever, right? What happens? You start getting jealous, you start making a big deal out of it, and you start clasping on because you're not used to dating somebody like that. So what winds up happening is that if you haven't put in the work to build what it is that you want to build, and then you get something prematurely, what winds up happening is you haven't gone through the mental alchemy in order to get to a point where you could truly enjoy it. Because there's a process by which every single time that you go through this small little challenge on the way to getting it, you're forced to tame your insane mind. Well, if you haven't been through that alchemy, you can't even truly enjoy it. So if that's the case, what you got to understand is that most people, as they're going through life, they're wishing for this, they're wishing for that, they're wishing for something that they wouldn't even know how to benefit from. I like to lay this out in the common self-help theme of the law of attraction, which to me is such an interesting philosophy, but also such a flawed philosophy. It's this weird, like, so accurate, it's insane, and so delusional, it's crazy at the same time. That's law of attraction. So the law of attraction is this idea that you can only attract that which you resonate with internally. So if you want to make more money, this is what they'd say, if you want to make more money, instead of working hard to make money, what you do is you work hard to raise your vibration. And then when your vibration raises, you would be a natural fit for that money and you would naturally gravitate to it. Now, I'm gonna give a strong argument for law of attraction, then we're gonna kind of break it apart a little bit as well. But what they would say is your reticular activation system, your selective focus, when in a higher vibe, would see the opportunity to make more money. Whereas when you're in a lower vibe, you're addicted to being in a lower vibe state. And so your RAS will actually blind you to all the different opportunities that are in front of you. Likewise, if you're more positive, you're a natural match for other people that are more positive. And what'll happen is when you meet them out, naturally they'll want to be around you. Naturally, they're going to invite you to things. Naturally, they're going to give you opportunities. But if you're somebody who's negative, you're not a match for them. And so you could meet out some billionaire, somebody who's super attractive that you want to date or whatever else, network with or date, make friends with, whatever else. And you know, you either wind up bringing them into your life or alienating them based on your vibe. You don't even see the opportunity, or you do see the opportunity based on your vibe, because your perception only allows you to see that which is a match for the state that you're addicted to. So that's kind of the idea for law of attraction, and there's a lot of people that teach it in much greater detail. I've actually shared the stage with some of them. I've done run seminars with some of them, and they could explain it a lot better than I could. But there's something very, very powerful there. And I can remember when the movie The Secret came out, and I had already made my first couple $1,000,000 in my mid-20s, and I said to myself, I'm like a person from The Secret. I stayed positive, I focused on opportunity, brought good people in my life. I'm a perfect case from The Secret. Now, the problem, of course, with the idea of The Secret is that it doesn't emphasize hard work. That doesn't preclude it, but it doesn't emphasize it. And so it winds up being the sort of ideology that a lot of neurotic people who really aren't able to take a lot of action will focus on, either because it's maybe somebody who's just looking to attract a partner in a very passive way, just hoping that someone will see how happy they are and kind of scoop them up, but they're not action oriented. Or it could be somebody who is kind of neurotic, unable to do a lot of work, and then they just say they're focusing on their vibe. Okay, you'll kind of see a little bit of both. The psychedelic community sometimes does a little bit of that. They're like, oh, I'm expanding my mind and somehow that's gonna help me to make more cash. And perhaps it could, you know, Steve Jobs. But for a lot of people it doesn't, okay? They just wind up getting hooked on drugs. So it's sort of like a mixed result with that kind of thing. And I just think it's interesting as how it relates here. So the way that it relates here is that whenever I've tried to give away things that are completely for free for people, a lot of the time, if they're not an energetic match for that, then what winds up happening is they wind up messing it up. And so a simple example would be if I'm running a free event, and I could be running a 2-day free event, 3 or 4 day free event, and you'll see people that will come on the first day and they're learning and they're finally getting a hand to pull them up. They've been waiting their whole lives for it. But what winds up happening is right at the points that could really change their lives, you'll see them walk out of the room, or you'll see them start to stare at their phone, or you'll see them trying to get some kind of like an Instagram video of me rather than listening to what it is that I have to say. So that they're focused on things that are not actually helping them. And when the moments come up that they could really benefit or learn, they wind up shutting it down. I've even seen this where, I remember one time I was actually by coincidence out here in Seattle. It's a true story. I was actually at a Seattle free event maybe a decade ago. And I saw a guy starting to fight over a chair at the front of the room. I could probably dig up this footage. And I remember thinking, like, your entire life is about to change dramatically this event. Like this event could be the linchpin for you to go on to have incredible success. And you're fighting over a chair? What is the actual fighting over a chair? Is fighting over a chair, when you look at that, is that really fighting over a chair? Or is that a success barrier? I would make a strong argument that's a success barrier. Now, maybe you think I'm taking that too far. You're like, bro, you're overthinking this. The guy just wants his chair. I get that. But what if he gets thrown out of the room and he doesn't get the information that he needs? Just over a chair. So in my view, people who are successful, it's not that they have low boundaries and just let people steal their chairs and steal their girls and talk crap on them. But it's not that they're just somebody who just lets that happen because they're weak. Rather, they allow that to happen because they're strong. And they understand the idea of opportunity cost, and they understand that there's only so many minutes and hours in a day. So the big lesson here, what I've seen, is that in life, there's this whole field of different things that are out there. And some of those things are positive, and some of those things are negative. And people that get to a high level, they're able to see the negative and do what they can to avoid it, and do what they can to mitigate it, and do what they can to build boundaries around it, and to discourage it. But without getting to the point that they're sacrificing the vast majority of their time and opportunity costs being, kind of shoved over into things that produce opportunity. So, if somebody invites me up to their mansion party and someone steals my girl, I can sit there looping on that and my mind just looping on it and looping on it. But ideally, through the process of having built something, I've trained myself, Owen, don't loop on that. There's 100 other here. The person that's running this might invite me back again. How can I add value to them? How could, rather than worrying about who I didn't meet, why don't I help them to meet someone? Why don't I do something to add value to them? Why don't I show that I'm handling things on my end to make their life better? So I guess the main lesson that I'm trying to put to you here is that in life there's a ton of positive, ton of negative. Be aware that as you kind of move up the food chain, your mind is getting better and better at focusing on that which matters. That's really what the process is. Now, as you build systems later, you actually get to the point where you realize oh, even this major important thing that I'm doing doesn't even matter because I could hire that out and build a system around it, and then I could do this other thing, right? So it's this continual stinginess with your time, stinginess with mental capital, stinginess with emotional capital, stinginess with your focus, and just erasing all these things that don't matter, and then getting to that which does matter, eventually hiring those things out and building systems around it and scaling it and getting to the point that your life is like a heaven on earth. Now from there, as you've built up to that kind of so-called heaven on earth that we're talking about, what's happened is you've learned to control your mind and to control your focus through each step, and you've got to a point that when that success comes, you can really enjoy it. Because why have an amazingly attractive significant other if you're just jealous the whole time and just trying to keep them away from everyone the whole time and scared? Why make a bunch of money if you're just afraid of losing it all the time? Why make a bunch of money if you're just mad at everybody who's, talking about you or haters are talking crap on you because you've got a bit of visibility or things like that? You couldn't even enjoy it, right? Look at any social media influencer. They're getting a lot of success, but they have a corresponding amount of people that are haters. Well, how could you even enjoy that success if you haven't, trained your mind not to focus on haters and to focus on the success? And you'll even see a funny little side point. You'll even see this in social media as people are moving up. A newer social media influencer, or maybe one who's only been around a couple years, they're like, why are these people saying these things? Then you see the ones that have been doing it 10 or 20 years. They're just like, it's all good. It's all love, whatever, and then they just focus on having fun, right? But you can only enjoy that money if you can focus on having fun. You can only enjoy the significant other if you can focus on having fun. You can only enjoy the party if you can focus on having fun. But it's through that process of getting there that you train your mind to do so. You build those mental muscles, those focus muscles, and that understanding that you only have so much time in a given day, and you have to use it wisely. Anyway, I'm gonna be heading off to the Seattle free event, which is right up over here. And I hope that you will enjoy being back up here with me and back up at the event. I'll see you soon. Hit that link below. I'll see you at the free event. Peace.